When men lose meaning, societies pay in pain. Welcome to the Midwest deindustrialized city of Dayton, Ohio. Let's explore exactly the fallout that happens when you take away jobs for reasons of globalization. Fatherhood is a fight, and I want to help you rumble right. This channel is devoted to creating a better future of fatherhood in America, and I would love your support. I've got 1776 by the 4th of July. Let's push it forward. 1800, here we come.
Brothers built the first functioning airplane in the early 1900s in Dayton. Though the first flight of their Dayton-built Wright Flyer would take place in North Carolina, it was their work in Dayton that would provide Ohio one of its taglines, known as the birthplace of aviation. Throughout the first half of the 20th century, the city would steadily grow, from around 85,000 in 1900 to over 243,000 in 1950.
In Southwest Ohio, we are American land of forgotten factories and the soul of a deeper crisis. Dayton, Ohio was once home to some of the most ingenious inventions and one of the richest centers within the entire world because they had access to eastern seaports, they were farming and doing industrial work in the time of the Industrial Revolution, and that quickly collapsed when we decided that it was more important to get cheap goods than to enrich ourselves through soul work that is necessary for men to thrive.
Dayton wouldn't peak until 1960 at just over 262,000. It would be from this point forward that the city would begin its long decline to the nearly half of this number that live there today. Decline of manufacturing, suburbanization, and many of the typical Rust Belt decline factors would hit Dayton hard.
I recall when I was working in the limestone industry in the early 2000s, there were people that were coming over from the GM plant closing that said they were making $30 an hour in the year 2000 doing factory work. $30 an hour doing factory work. It was insane, and there were stories of them just sleeping in the rafters. Perhaps that's part of the reason why they moved their operations overseas eventually.
The area's population had held relatively steady up until the 2000s decade. However, it would lose nearly 50,000 during this period. Today, the city's top employers consist of jobs in healthcare, education, and government. Though two of the region's signature employers are gone, the presence of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base just outside the city has helped to keep the city and the region alive. It provides 30,000 jobs and billions in spending for the area.
In the early 2000s, jobs began going away, many things deindustrialized, as was sort of the open society project that we all endeavored down, and the results are drug addiction, hopelessness, homes are emptied, the Midwest has been essentially drained intellectually, hope. It's been drained of its hope, its purpose, its meaning, and the results are that men have become psychologically unwell. And part of my experience directly is that I've been a substance use treatment administrator for the last more than a dozen years, and I can say that men around here, if they have a hope coming into drug treatment, is that they might get one of those $18 an hour jobs, which used to pay $12 an hour more 25 years ago. And with the rates of inflation, there's just simply no hope for that man to jump off of his bottom rung of the ladder and employ himself in having good and meaningful work, not in a financially and fiscally sustainable way. When dignity and meaning disappear, numbness feels like relief, and that is exactly what happened from about the year 2000 up until the current day in Midwest cities like Dayton, Ohio. There's simply no relief. There's no hope in many cases in the industrial centers, former industrial centers of cities like where I currently live in Franklin, Ohio. There's simply no hope other than a few factories. And when meaningful work is declined or when it's taken out of a society, men suffer, and they suffer greatly. And we don't have the old organic communities like church to integrate into, to find other meaning and purpose, or to have a secondary purpose other than just simply making money, which is turned into one of the only ways that we measure someone's value. The collapse didn't just steal jobs, it stole fathers, it stole families, it stole futures. And the wounds weren't just superficial, they were meaningful and spiritual. It's time for us, if we are going to push the ball forward, to move back into having industrial jobs for the man who desires to make in America. Now, you might say that AI is coming for many of these white collar opportunities. However, there are just men who thrive by working with their hands. Can we give them back their dignity and the opportunity to make a decent living and to potentially have the hope to raise families? One of the reasons why the birth rate has been so low, well, firstly, 100,000 individuals, mostly 80% men, pass away from substance use overdose every year. And that doesn't even account for alcohol use issues. Secondarily, you have taken so many of those men out of the realm of having the hope of being able to support a family that they don't even endeavor down that road anymore. When men lose meaning, society pays in pain. And it is our opportunity now in Midwest cities like the one that I've loved dearly for the last 25 years, Dayton, Ohio. And I've founded a nonprofit in this city. I've raised my family near and in this city. I've done a great, vast amount of volunteer work and advocacy work in this city. And I've seen it continually fall into more and more disheveled state because there is no hope. It is our time now that if we can reindustrialize, along with the ingenuity that was here in our forebears in Dayton, Ohio, the same type of innovation that created the airplane was here. If we can reinstitute some of that ingenuity, we might give these men a hope for a better tomorrow. And by proxy, that will help the women, children, and families to do the same. It is time for a Rust Belt revival. And if you are willing to join or support that, please support the channel. I do dissident therapy content here because I believe that my industry, the therapeutic industry, has gotten it wrong on so many fronts that someone has to tell the truth. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I appreciate you so much.